Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to Friday Night VIVE. Tonight isn't about making a big decision. It's about what happens after you've already chosen differently. There's a quiet internal moment when you decide you're no longer living in survival. But what no one really talks about is what freedom feels like in your body when your habits and reflexes are still catching up. That's what we're sitting with tonight. Not urgency, not fixing, just noticing. Before we go any further, where are you tuning in from tonight? Please take a moment to drop your city below. This is about making the decision that's already happened. At some point, quietly, internally, you chose freedom, not as a dramatic declaration and not as a big announcement. You simply reached a moment where survival no longer made sense as a way of living, and what no one really prepares you for is what comes after that choice. Because freedom doesn't arrive fully formed. It doesn't suddenly reorganize your nervous system or immediately rewrite your habits, and it doesn't automatically make everything feel calm or easy. Freedom is learned, it's felt, and freedom is practiced. And this vibe is about that learning about what happens when your clarity is ahead of your body, when your mind knows you're free, but your reflexes haven't caught up. Most of us think freedom will feel like peace right away, but that's not always true. Sometimes freedom feels unfamiliar. It feels quiet in a way that makes you restless. Sometimes it feels like you're doing something wrong because there's no urgency pulling at you anymore. I saw this in myself recently. About a month ago, I stopped measuring, and I didn't expect what happened next. Mornings felt strange. You see, I had an entire routine built around tracking, checking numbers, reviewing data, reaching for devices, my Lumen water tracker, and logging meals from the day before. It was automatic. And when I stopped, I felt lost. Not dramatic, not emotional, just untethered. I would wake up and instinctively reach for something to measure and then realize I didn't need to. And in that space, I didn't know what to do with myself. That's when I understood something. My mind had chosen freedom, but my body was still wired for structure and proof. And learning how freedom feels meant sitting in that quiet without replacing it with another system. Can you relate? Type me too if this has ever been you. Survival has a rhythm. Deadlines, pressure, responsibility, the constant hum of I need to stay on top of this. Freedom interrupts that rhythm. And when the noise goes quiet, the body often asks, now what? This is where reminders matter. Freedom is not numbness or disengagement, and freedom is not checking out. Freedom is presence without bracing. But bracing has been your body's language for a long time. So when you stop bracing, your body doesn't immediately relax. It scans, it waits, and it wonders if this calm is safe. That's why freedom can feel uncomfortable at first, not because something is wrong, but because something is different, and difference requires discernment. What we have to understand is that this is the part we don't rush. This season isn't about action, it's about noticing. Noticing how freedom shows up in your body. Take a moment to ask yourself these questions. Does your breath feel deeper or shallow because you're unsure what to do with space? Does your chest soften or tighten because you're not used to ease? Do you move slower or feel guilty for not proving something? One thing we must understand is that freedom reveals what survival trained, and survival trained a lot of us to equate urgency with importance. So when urgency disappears, we can mistake peace for stagnation. But peace and numbness are not the same. Numbness is absence. Peace is presence. Without pressure, numbness disconnects. Peace keeps. And learning how to tell the difference is part of embodiment. All right, let's pause here for a moment. This is where we shift outward for a bit and look at something that stirred reflection beyond this space. Let's talk about it. A video I saw on the news made me stop and sit with it. It was from James Van Der Beek, someone I didn't know, but the video was so touching I had to look it up. He was talking about a season in his life where everything that defined him was stripped away. He was no longer able to be the strong husband, the capable father, or the provider. And he asked himself a question. If all of that is gone, who am I? And the answer he landed on was simple. I am worthy of love simply because I exist. That hit me because survival identities are often built on roles. What we do, who we help, what we carry, and what we manage. But if those roles are removed, are you still worthy? Freedom forces that question because when you stop measuring, stop proving, and stop surviving, who are you then? And if the answer is, I am worthy because I exist, that changes everything. What do you think about that? Type truth, if that landed, how to recognize freedom in real time. I want to give you something simple to practice this week. Not a system, not a routine, not another thing to measure, just a check-in. When you find yourself in a moment of quiet or when urgency isn't present, pause and ask, is this peace or is this numbness? Here's how you tell. Peace has three signals. First, your breath is steady, not shallow, not held, just steady. Second, your body feels open, shoulders aren't braced, and your jaw isn't tight. Third, you don't feel the need to explain yourself. There's no internal defense happening, no argument or proving. Numbness feels different. Your breath feels distant, and your body feels muted. And there's a subtle withdrawal from yourself. Peace keeps you present, numbness pulls you away. So the next time you notice space, instead of filling it, scan for these three signals: steady breath, open body, no internal defense. If those are there, that's what freedom feels like. Would you try this? Type ready if you're open to practicing it. Freedom is not a decision, it's a new identity. Here's what I want you to understand. Freedom is not the moment you choose differently. It's the moment you stop trying to prove you chose correctly. That's the shift. Most of us think freedom is bold, decisive, clear, definitive, but the real shift happens quietly. It happens when you don't rush to fill space, when you don't replace one structure with another, when you don't panic because calm doesn't feel dramatic. The measuring story wasn't about numbers, it was about identity. I had built part of my sense of discipline, strength, and control around structure. And when that structure disappeared, I had to ask, who am I without this? That's the part no one talks about. Freedom removes the systems that used to define you. And in that removal, there's space. And space can feel like loss before it feels like expansion. But here's the deeper truth. Freedom isn't about removing structure. It's about removing fear from structure. It's not about having nothing. It's about not being ruled by what you once needed to survive. Survival says, if I can handle it, I should. Freedom says, I can handle it, but I don't have to. Survival looks for urgency. Freedom moves from alignment. Survival proves. Freedom chooses. And choosing doesn't require explanation. This is why embodiment matters. Because if your body still believes you need urgency to matter, you will unconsciously recreate pressure. And if your body still believes structure equals safety, you will rebuild systems you don't actually need. Learning how freedom feels means allowing your nervous system to experience calm without interpreting it as danger. So this isn't about fixing yourself. It's about noticing where you're still bracing for something that isn't coming, and slowly, gently letting your body realize you don't live there anymore. And when that realization settles, freedom doesn't feel loud. It feels steady and clean. But most of all, it feels honest. If you're feeling this message, drop Vive in the comments, and I'll send you tonight's recap link. Take one breath and repeat this with me slowly. I trust calm. I live from choice, not urgency. Repeat that with me one more time. I trust calm. I live from choice, not urgency. Type yes if you're claiming this for yourself tonight. Thank you for being here tonight. This was Friday Night VIVE, learning how freedom feels. If this resonated, let me know in the comments. I read them. If you'd like more conversations like this, make sure you're subscribed. And if you know someone who's learning how to live without proving, please share this video. Let's normalize worth without performance. One more time before we close. I trust calm, and I live from choice, not urgency.